Again, March is us.
Was March last time we were actually
I
together?
think March kills me.
On March 5th.
All right, I will call this meeting to order for July 16th, and it is 6:30 p.m. And if you'll all join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And just to reiterate, just so everybody in the room knows, we are live streamed, and Mr. Corliss is taking care of that part. And on the phone also is Human Resources Coordinator Sarah Newland, and she'll be on for her part of the presentation. So we will start to roll here. We can get adoption of the agenda.
As well, I'll motion to adopt the agenda for the June 16th, 2020 meeting as submitted.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will also make a note too that at this point in time, board member Sandy Gill is not present, but she is on her way, so she'll be with us. All right, so our first item is item number 2A, it's presentation, and this is the results from the 4-day-a-week survey presented by Ms. Debbie Hodgkiss and Ms. Valerie Shumway. Ladies. Just audio. If you, this is a little bit awkward. Sandy just pulled in and she really wants to see these.
Wait about another minute and she'll be in here. She was very.
Right. Right. So if we can just.
I can tell you about my culinary adventure this evening, if that helps anybody. Waste some time.
As long as you're bringing samples out, that'd be fine.
I accidentally made smoky mashed potatoes. So.
Did the fire department like them?
I put the pot on, let it boil, came back to work. All of a sudden, my house is filled with smoke, and I'm going, what the heck's going on? All the water had boiled out, and I salvaged them as much as I could, made them anyway, and then they had this nice little smoky flavor to them, so that was interesting.
Well, that's better than burnt.
It's technically, yes, burnt, but, I mean, if you want to fancy it up, you call it smoky.
Gonna find it on Pinterest now.
That's your new name.
What's my new name, Ron?
Smoky.
Smoky. Okay, so if we can let you know, board member Sandy Gill is present. And as soon as she catches her breath, the two ladies are going to start their first presentation.
You're ready, Sandy.
Okay, let me just change my glasses. It's already dark in here. Ready?
All right, well, good evening. Well, good evening, let me, I'm not saying that. Good evening, everyone. We'll work through this. I appreciate the opportunity, Jody and I both to present the results of the survey we had on the 4-day school week. We presented the survey to our staff and to our parents, so you'll have both results here. The survey went out in March, right after spring break. 246 parents responded to the survey, and we had 100 staff members respond to it. So we thought we had a pretty good representation of the survey and the information that we want to gather from it. I don't have this specifically yet. If you want to go to the next one, that's where I touch base on the academic portion. So if we have, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to it. Is it? Okay. I didn't know. Sorry, we're doing a lot of different. As the board knows, one of the main reasons that we went to a 4-day school week was to retain and attract our teachers. So we're really interested to know how the staff felt about our 4-day week, so we were going to start there. The staff was asked 2 questions. Do you feel the 4-day week has had a positive impact on your job? And do you feel the 4-day week has had a positive impact on your personal life? So you can see from the slide that 82% of the staff reported it had a positive impact on their job, and then 92% reported. So that was pretty awesome. On the comment side, for the positive, we had the staff responded that, sorry, let me grab my right slide. One of the greatest impacts was on their mental and emotional health and their physical health. So that was pretty powerful. We had 70% of them report that academically they felt like it was good for their students. They had more time to focus on instruction, less fillers. They worked more on the needs of their students, and they were more productive during their day hours. So that was really positive. They did have some concerns. The concerns were, again, the opposite, academic stresses. 51% said they had no concerns. So that was good. Lots of pay and hours came probably from our front staff. So we had 4 people that responded that way. And then we had some other responses. They wished they could be in the classrooms on Friday. They had fewer meetings. But also felt that they lacked a little bit in their instruction from their teachers because they were not able to have as many meetings. Negatively, academics, they were worried about time with kids. If they were able to do some interventions. Let me just find my notes real quick so I have to remember what I'm supposed to say. Interventions were one thing. Fridays they did need just some increased time with their kids, but basically they had an overall positive impact on the 4 days. On our parent side, the questions we asked.
Excuse me 1 second.
Yes.
Hey, Sarah? Sarah?
Yes,
Can you do me a favor and mute your phone, please?
certainly.
I'm getting a lot of noise over here, and it's hard to hear my gals over here. Thank you.
So just to recap again, on the staff, their biggest things were their time spent with their family, their life balance, there was less stress, and they felt more motivated. And then I found my notes. The concerns were the days were too long, classes too long, not enough time to present material, less time with student retention, and student intervention.
I'm going to add in with academic data. First benchmark, we saw good growth between the beginning of the year and the first benchmark. So there was a lot of growth in students, and it's better than the year before. And then the second benchmark, we still saw really good growth, but the proficiency level was a concern for many of our schools because they still didn't have the proficiency that they had hoped that they would have. But they, again, that was between, we had our first benchmark, October, November, second benchmark was January.
Would you say that was more across the board as far as proficiencies? I mean, were you seeing it that way?
It's always up and down. And we saw pretty good proficiency at Hacienda. The high school was, and this is comparing one year to the next. The high school was about the same, between years, social peak was about the same, and festival was actually down between their third benchmark. The benchmarks were delivered a month earlier. So this year we delivered our second benchmark in January, and last year we did it in February.
Okay.
So that may have played part of it. Growth was good on all of them.
Good. Good to hear.
So on the parent side, the question we asked was, do you believe the 4-day week impacted your students' academic achievement? And then they could choose like a positive or negative grade. And so we see on here in the center that 60% of our parents felt like it had a positive effect. About 28% said it didn't have any impact at all. And then about 12% said it had a negative impact. So you see that. The other question we asked was, did the 4-day week impact your students' participation in extracurricular activities, especially on Fridays? So we have 52% no impact, about 24% it didn't apply, and about 21% said yes. We did realize that extracurricular was a bit broader. We didn't narrow that down quite enough in our question because we had high schoolers talking about athletics for school. We had parents that had soccer teams, club balls, 21st century. So it was kind of all over the board on that one. Some of the comments the parents had made, the positive comments, you'll see they increased family time was huge. They could could schedule appointments on Friday. Very much positive emotionally. Academically, they loved having longer weekends. In this positive comment area, there were some negatives. So parents actually responded, what was the positive impact? They said none. They didn't like it. We had 25 parents that said they didn't like it, and 5 additional that said there were concerns with daycare. So we do still have that little component hanging around.
Sally,
Yes.
wasn't that somewhere in the same vicinity or number of parents that objected in the survey when we read it?
Before,
Yeah.
the
Prior
free one.
to the 1 to 4 days?
Yeah. So,
Probably the same one.
Yes.
and a lot of their comments were there was not enough daycare available, which we tried to find other resources for them and give them suggestions and stuff. I'm not sure, what we could have done differently.
What did you say, was not, they said what wasn't available?
Not enough resources available, like there weren't enough daycare places to take them
Oh, okay.
to, or resources or children that could come to their home or whatever. Well, 5 parents that said that, so 5 parents, yeah, in that section here, right? And so then on the negative comments or concerns, not negative necessarily, but definitely concerns, you had 71% that said they did not have any concerns at all. And then you had parents that were worried about their free time. There's too much of it, and they didn't know what to do with them. You had some academic concerns. They felt the day was too long. Kids were not learning enough. They were falling behind. They really wanted Friday to be open for tutoring or childcare. And the concern point, you did have 4%, and that totaled 10 people that said they had childcare concerns. So overall, I think the survey showing that we've got a few bumps on the family end and on the district end, but overall, it was a positive move on our part. And that I think one of the most important areas that improved with our families and our staff was our mental and physical health. That people felt less stress and more family time, and so I think that's a win if we want to look at that.
I'm really struggling right now remembering what it was like on Fridays at my house. I had 3 months of
So true, huh? We kind of
5 days a week. So I'm struggling to remember what that was like.
Well,
Well, it must not have been very negative, or you would have remembered.
Right? Oh my God.
So these last 3 months completely wiped that out.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
We have more slides, so that's just a little.
okay, I'll send my question.
We might answer it for you, Ron.
Okay. I hope.
Hello. So this is my slide, and I would like to just say, you know, circling back to Valerie's slide previously, when we look at 82% of staff reporting a positive impact to their job and 92% reporting a positive impact to their personal life, that's what gets us to this 31% decrease in teacher turnover. Can we go, thank you. So last school year, 2018, 2019, and I did count mid-year turnover as well as the end of the year turnover. So the course of the entire school year, we had 16 teachers resign or retire. And so that is, you know, much higher than what we experienced this year with 11 teachers. So we had 7 teachers resign at the end of the year, and then 4 teachers resign during the middle of the year. Another positive impact that we've seen is that there's been a 33% decrease in teacher personal leave. So teachers are taking those expenditures, or not taking those expenditures, because they're able to do more over their breaks and over the longer weekends, which is nice. Any
Perfect.
questions on my slide, guys?
I just have a question. You put retirements and resignations together. So, retirement, I understand people are gonna reach the point where they retire, but my bigger concern would be the resignations. So how many out of those numbers were resignations?
Let me let's take a peek real quick. I
Does
think
that
we
help you?
had. Let me pull it up. Well, we had Tiffany retire
Twice, yeah.
and Sheila.
Did you count both times?
So we had 2 retirees this year.
Okay, so 9 teachers actually resigned.
Yes.
Okay, and then what about out of the 16, the previous?
I don't know that number. I will have to go back and look.
Because to me, it's more important to know how many resignations we had
Well,
versus retirement.
and if the if resignations were other than medical reasons.
Right.
Because I know one that retired because she, you know,
Because I think that tells us our teacher retention is resignation, and, you know, whether, you know, if it's for medical or whatever. So I'd kind of like to see a bigger breakdown in that, because, you know, if you've been here 30 years and you retire, I mean, that's understandable. Right, that's not an impact, you know, as far as the 4 days go. I mean, they were gonna retire after 30 years anyway. So that would be my only comment. I would rather see a bigger breakdown so that we can really see how our retention is working.
Mm-hmm.
There's still,
Yep.
probably tomorrow easily, but Sarah, I would venture to guess we had less than 5 retire last year. That's my guess.
You're right.
So, but she'll get the numbers for you for sure.
I mean, we always have a few retirements. So,
Right, which is understandable.
yeah.
Another way they want to look at it is, who stayed because of the 4 days instead of retiring,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, who came back for a year?
Yeah, well, if you came back for it.
I know of one for sure.
Me too.
Right.
And actually, she said, just a side comment, she said, wow, I wish they'd had this 4-day week for a longer time than just this last year. I know.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
My name's not on, like, the done with the secret.
Aaron, maybe you can tell us, like, absolutely. So, I'm just gonna go over a few categories related to the 4-day, in savings. And I looked from July 1st through the end of February for this, just because of COVID, you know, we compare comparison year over year, obviously. So transportation, we had a very big savings, not only in fuel, but as well as in salary costs. You know, cutting down that day really helped out on the salaries and on the fuel. You know, that eliminated quite a bit. As you know, we cover a lot of ground, and so, those two combined, we saved over
Is
$75,000.
that like bus driver salaries, everything?
Like $8 difference.
Is that
Your number.
comparison?
Kind of crazy.
Each year,
Yeah.
Correct.
for the same length of time?
As we do and stuff.
Yep, I did 18, 19, 19, 20, right side by side, and ran the same time frame.
So July through February?
Yep.
Okay.
We did. So transportation, we had a great savings. I was pleased to see that. I expected to have that. Food service, I was a little bit surprised to see that we did, you know, the food company that we work with, Southwest Foods, kept saying, oh, you're probably gonna see an increase, you're gonna see an increase, but we did actually see, a decrease. We did serve less meals, but our expenditures did go down. We weren't buying as much food, we didn't have to pay as much in salaries again. So we did see, you know, just over $65,000 in savings in that area. So, that was helpful. Maintenance, we saw quite a bit of a savings here too, not only in repairs, in general supplies, but also just in salaries. $41,000 in salaries alone. You know, some of those hours were cut with our night custodians and things. Just didn't need to be here if the kids weren't here to clean. So, we had quite a savings there. I can't guarantee that we'll always have that savings in, general supplies and repair, because you never know what's gonna happen year to year. So, you know, as we, now have a new, HVAC person too, he's finding some things that do need to be repaired. So that is picking up a little bit and being there. Not to mention just cost of goods, including air filters, for example, on our HVAC units. That cost is going up on everything. So, but I'm thankful we had that this year. Utilities, okay. Utilities, we saw just over $24,000 savings in utilities. I didn't include water because we had a little bit of a glitch with our spreadsheet with our billing, so I couldn't get that information in there. But overall, so that includes, you know, we cut back on our trash service and then our electric. And so that was a big savings there too. So I was pleased to see that for sure. So overall, great savings, budgetarily wise. And I think that, you know, that really helped make sure that we could keep the staff that we had. I didn't have to risk anyone, and it also allowed me to get slight salary increases moving into next year.
Oh,
Do
sorry.
you remember, when we were doing this last spring, and you were putting out numbers and everything, and you had a savings estimate? You
I can
remember?
look it up.
Yeah, I just wondered if you.
I was gonna ask the same thing. I wonder, I think we outdid ourselves.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I
I think
think.
you said like,
Very conservative.
I think you said 60 to 75K is what I think you said, if I remember right.
How much?
60 to 75.
I was
The
thinking-
total amount is 182.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember that.
I was, do the 80 something, but
I think I estimated around 80 in salaries. I believe. Ron, did we answer your previous question?
not yet.
Okay.
Oh.
That's all I had on the budget side.
Okay.
Thanks.
So we're at the questions? Okay.
But that's it.
I was going to ask you, on the survey portion up front there, some of the, well, I mean, I don't have anything specific, but any negatives that you saw there, any of the negative comments there?
Parents or staff?
Either one,
Mhm.
either or, it doesn't matter. I'm just in general now. Have you looked at those that might be able to be changed, and without upsetting the whole apple cart? Or something that we could do something about, I guess,
Mhm.
of those negative comments that
Well,
would.
I reflected on that myself, Ron, and what I came up with, and this is, nothing grand, but that we needed to live it a little bit longer. Some of the bumps that we saw, like trying to figure out curriculum, trying to figure out when to have meetings, how to take care of your kids, I think we just had to live it, and I think next year we'll go into it with more knowledge and
Mhm.
be able to figure out how to do our different, well, with COVID, who knows? But, they felt like they had lost, like Festival Fridays and some things that happened on Friday afternoon. So I think learning to incorporate those into your regular, our 4 days now
Mhm.
is just something we're gonna.
Well, and then, okay, so that would be a response to some of the negatives. But is those negatives that you see in the survey, are they shared with teachers that would make those changes in the classroom day?
Yes, I'm gonna say we have not shared that. I
Okay.
don't know if Debbie has, she might have survey data. Yeah, no, we have.
But I'm just saying, because, like I said,
That would make a difference.
the things that didn't work well, we fixed this year, but a lot of those, these classroom type things that they need to be educated on, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
and principals so that they can see where their staff goes. So, yeah, that's important, and we will do that. Anyone else?
Okay, that was my questions, thank you.
That's a great one, Ron. And I think that's a really good advice that we will take, and we probably would have thought of it. I'm sure that's all we.
Everybody's dressed, all these reports you on doing.
Well, thanks, ladies, appreciate that.
Thank you.
And presentation number 2 is the remote learning report by Ms. Hotchkiss.
It's on the screen, if it's, I might have it. Right, no, you're wrong. Okay. I'm trying to guide us. I got good to you. Okay. Hello, council document,
Oh, I got promoted. Thank you.
Dr. Carlson and members of the board. So I would like to go over some of the results from our remote learning survey. This survey was given to parents and staff at the end of our school closure, near the end of our school closure. And so we just wanted to know how everybody did throughout the last 3 months, the last quarter of school. We had 250 parents respond, and that's the breakdown by school of who responded. So it's pretty, equitable to our student population. And we had 48 teachers respond to the survey. I know you can't read this from where you are, but we asked what were the positives about remote learning, and this was for parents. This slide is for parents.
If you say parents,
This is the parent survey
Oh,
right
okay,
here,
okay,
okay?
good.
So the results from the parent survey, 181 parents said their students could work in their own pace. 114 said they had time to complete their activities and work. 106 said easy access to the work, and 96 said available, the teachers were available. So if you look at the visual, you can see that was the bulk of our parents. And they could choose more than one, by the way. They could choose, I think they could choose as many as they wanted as far as the positives for remote learning. Not having to be in school to learn, you have to stay home. Is that having video or audio opportunities to interact with others in other classrooms when the classroom may cross the students and they were able to, see each other amazingly. 46 said classes, were set the same, which they weren't, by the way. 30 said clear understanding of how the grading works, and 28 said doing learning format. And some of their teachers, a lot of our teachers didn't use it format. And then 17 said quality of learning. And our learning platform at the end, we talked to many teachers. The high school was a little different, but for the most part, we said, let's review. For the end of the year, let's review the concepts and make sure the kids keep what they've learned, because our kids are in different environments. And we did not want to overwhelm anyone. We had no idea how the pandemic was going to affect our community. The challenges for remote learning, again, this is parents. Our big four, they miss their classmates, they miss their activities, they miss their teachers, and they miss school and learning. And it was evident that was the biggest challenge. And we asked the same thing, but just the opposite way. Unclear expectations, classes were set up differently. That was frustrating for those parents of multiple kids. And again, teachers did it in 4 days. Well, some of them were from the weekend, many of them did, but they had to put it together quickly. Wasn't pre-thought. Well, as much as we could. Unclear grading, learning format, varied workload, access to resources. The teachers were not available, so there was some, but that wasn't the biggest concern, so I was happy to see that. The internet access and the device access were very small, and that's kudos to our IT department. They worked like crazy. We distributed over 100 devices to families with the internet. It was in the Wellington Foundation. They did a wonderful job to help us raise funds and ensure devices and bring easy internet to our families. And I know they helped out with the Christian Academy as well. So kudos to our staff and our community. Yes.
One of the things you said up there was unfair grading. I didn't think they ended up with any grades for these online.
Unclear. I don't think people necessarily all knew.
Unclear grading. So the grading at kids were held harmless.
Yeah.
Well, it was different. At the high school, they kept their grade they ended with, but they could increase their grade if they did work or they went back and did like a credit recovery management. Middle school and elementary, 1 through 5th grade, 1 through 8th grade, they kept their previous grade, and then at the end, it was a pass. And then kindergarten was the only one that did not get any grade at all, because it's an individualized assessment to get kindergarten standards of achievement.
And I guess I'm curious, is there a reason why they weren't graded?
For what they had, we didn't have, some kids didn't have access to the things, they didn't have access to remote learning.
Okay.
And so they did have paper packets. We have kids that had parents, we had kids that didn't have parents, we had kids that were the parents during the day, we had kids in all kinds of environments.
And that was a state requirement that came down, Sandy, that we couldn't.
Okay. I wasn't sure where that came from, because I thought, just because I know a lot of the kids didn't do all their work, because they didn't care, because it wasn't going to change their grade one way or another. So I thought it was, I don't know even what word I want to use, detrimental, that they knew from the beginning that it wasn't going to matter.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges there was that, obviously you had the disparity between the kid that lived in a certain area as compared to the kid that's more affluent.
Right.
And so, in terms of state guidelines, I think the idea was to look at equity over, these other issues. And obviously a very tough and challenging situation, but, it kind of fell on the side of equity, and that's how it ended up that way.
Okay. Because I've had a number of people ask me that, and I really didn't know how to answer it properly. Thank you.
It is difficult. We did have some parents that felt it was unfair because their kids did come to the table, they worked hard, and they got the same grade as the neighbor next door who played video games all day.
Yeah.
So, that, I know that was difficult, and we did have to parents
ones that reach out, but Howard used the word that I would say about equity. You know, we have to try to filter through all of the situations that we think our kids are facing. And,
We've never done this before.
we've never done this before. And our teachers, you know, the teachers have different expectations. We had teachers that had, crazy amount of work, and then others that didn't. And again, they hadn't done it before. So,
Yeah, I mean, that was back on the positive slide, when it said time to complete the activities and work. I was just wondering if they had the same workload that they would have had when they were in class, or if it was a lot lighter. Yeah.
we instructed them to do a lot lighter, because again, for those that did have computer access, we didn't want to do it on computer for 6 hours.
Yeah. But I guess my point was is that the parents go, yeah, it was great. They were able to get all the work done. You know,
Right.
they didn't have as much to do.
Well,
Right.
it would be lighter, but, I cannot tell you at 100% that all the teachers.
No, and I can tell you my experience with fourth grade, just because it was a good one. And because my daughter was able to actually get through all of her work by Tuesday afternoon if she really tried. Not that it was too much or too little, but at times she did feel overwhelmed, and she could actually directly communicate with her teacher, and her teacher would give her the feedback, don't stress about it, just do what you can. And there were some things where I felt like we didn't necessarily have a lesson to go with what was being tested per se online. And so she and I would Google and find a YouTube video that would teach a lesson that mom didn't know how to teach. But like I was more stressed out than my kids, because I was like, no, I need you to keep learning. You're at home now, and I don't want you to lose it, you know. But we had a very positive experience with the fourth grade, for sure, by far. Yeah. And they wanted more interaction with their peers, both of mine, but they had a good experience.
Yeah, I know you talked about, how hard IT work would be, make available and all that. Was there comments or anything in the 25 that, it's just internet access? Was it just access, or was it just now using the internet for the curriculum?
Majority of it was access. They, we had some families, they didn't have access to anything like cops or anything like that, and you couldn't even put a hotspot. That's how remote northern families are. So there was nothing we could do. We even had, we were planning to do a campaign to have hotspots donated, like little MiFi, that type of thing. But again, some kids just lived down. So, anything that we could, and we really did get a majority of our kids, that did have access. And a lot of our families got their own access. They were like, they didn't have it before, and, we had our campaign to take care of them, and they were like, no, we took care of it, And there was quite a few that started out with nothing, that had something in the end. So, and AV Internet, fabulous.
Yeah.
We now have a water tower with a AV Internet antenna on it, and that was due to the generosity of the Wellness Foundation and the fact that we went through this process. It was comfortable, but that's what it
just imagine initially, when we went all internet access, questions and calls and everything. I would, people that, internet like that.
Yeah. We
Of
got it
course,
on.
everybody's YouTube, but
Yeah, and teachers did well too. Our teachers spent a lot of time in training, and we've been talking about, Google education and getting the teachers trained. They did a lot of it themselves. They used that time. We asked them to go to the Google Level 1 certification for Google Educator, and many of them did. So we gained a lot of professional development and skills that we didn't know we had. So,
How are we done on the return of the?
How was it gonna?
we're doing well, very well. I think the last number is about 30. We only had, I think, maybe half a dozen with kind of breakage to them. So, and we still have many kids that are still and, summer school classes, so those are out. So, out of the 400 that went out, there were about 30 left to come in. So, there's better than expected. All right, one question asked, do you feel your child was able to keep learning through our distance learning program? This is a strongly agree, and over here is strongly disagree. So majority of the parents thought, you know, average, we did okay. It's a nice little curve here.
Yeah.
So hang on, here's our teachers. We have the teachers the same exact.
Oh, my God.
And it's a perfect bell curve, and actually, this really is, this should be, 2.1, my graph must have picked that wrong, because it was the exact same number, across.
Wow.
So, majority of them really felt average, but the kids were able to keep learning during the, school closure. This one is parents again. How comfortable are you sending your children back to school on August 3rd? So what we did is we asked them some questions about the school closure, and then we moved in and tried to gather information. So we had some information about planning for reopening. So very comfortable, and again, this was back in May, it was unchanged, so 44.8%, very comfortable with the kids coming back from school. Now, that means they just, you know, they were trying to do all the lessons, they were still doing all the lessons.
Yeah.
They were ready to take them back.
I don't think the word comfortable is really right.
No, but if you look 3 to 5, that's like 80% right there.
So this is where
Really good.
families are with, coming back to school. And again, this is back in May, and so on the 3rd, we have.
We're still the same, I'll just tell you.
Okay, good to hear.
We're still very
Teachers.
comfortable.
We asked them the same question, how comfortable are you coming back on July 27th, which is the first teacher
Not
day?
at all.
And you can see, majority of them are comfortable. We do have, about 20% of our teachers who are not comfortable with coming back. And yeah, this was a month ago, so I don't know how feelings are again now. Would you feel comfortable if school staff took your child's temperature? 68% said yes, 18% said maybe. We only had 14% that said no, they would be comfortable with the child's temperature being taken.
Do they understand the temperature of such as they're using now?
There were some questions. Yes, there were some questions on, you know, that temperature that, you know, the thermometer can touch every child. But, there were some questions like that. And then some people are like, no, this is, you know, I don't know, conspiracy theory. Teachers, we asked them the same thing, about 80% of them said yes, they would be comfortable, they were required to have their temperature taken each day. 10% said maybe, 10% said no. Do you feel comfortable limiting visitors on campus? This was asked of parents, 56% said yes, 24 maybe, 20 no. We asked the same of teachers. Yes, we'd be about 70% said yeah, we'd be comfortable if we had limited visitors on campus. 17 said maybe, 14% said no. Would you consider driving your child to allow for social distancing? So 63% of our parents said, yeah, I drive my child rather than using public services to help with distancing. 14 said maybe, 23% said no. There weren't a lot of comments about this, and parents were saying, I have no other option. There's no other way for my child to get to school.
Right.
So, just keep that in mind.
Can I ask a question about busing?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about this? Do you know what percentage of students right now ride the bus?
I don't. That's a great question. We might be able to find that. I don't know.
It varies so much too. We have to really look at our consistent daily driver. You know, you got some kids that ride this day, not this.
Yeah.
You have to kind of have an average, but I'll make it up.
Okay. Because I'm just curious how that would reflect, because I know in my, you know, drive-through Hacienda drop-off line, there's a lot of drop-offs already that kids ride home, but get dropped off already in the morning. That's just due to parent availability, so that might be something to consider with this number.
This was a difficult question to ask and analyze, but basically there are three models for, learning. One is face-to-face. I'm sorry, we asked, face-to-face with an alternative schedule, we asked about the hybrid model, we asked about the online model. So this was parents, what they preferred. They preferred if the students are not allowed to come to school, what would be your preferred model? It was still online. Hybrid was the second choice. Hybrid would mean that we would bring in maybe small groups to the school on some days, and then they would also have online options. And then alternate schedule would be they come on Monday, Wednesday, and other come on Tuesday, Thursday, or we do half days. So it was a really, like I said, it was a tough work. Some of these are not even in consideration now, but it was a tough thing to analyze and understand.
What, okay,
Yes, sir.
what are the three groupings?
The three groupings we asked in May were and this is if we cannot go back to school as normal.
Right,
An online model,
okay,
hybrid,
right,
which would be partially online, partially face-to-face, an alternate schedule, which
okay,
would cut our staff or our population in half.
okay.
So like
Got that, no, but you have those three things to the left, those.
So parents were asked,
Okay.
what's your first choice? What's your first choice? And 108 said, online is my first choice. 78 or 79, excuse me, said, my first choice would be a hybrid, and 78, my first choice would be an alternate schedule.
Okay,
Second choice, then everybody shuffled.
I got it.
Online, hybrid, alternate
Okay.
schedule.
And the third choice, okay, that's what I didn't
It's hard.
understand the choices, you know,
Okay,
what
so
the.
they wanted to kind of rank.
Okay, got it.
Rank them. Thank you for, asking. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say, Jeremy messaged me, and he could hear. He said that in a, meeting yesterday that he had with Mike,
Mhm.
in it, Mike guessed that about 40% of our students ride the bus.
That's a lot, huh? That's a lot.
I thought that, I thought very high.
I thought you said 50.
Like, what do you, don't get that. But I have an email to him too, so
We'll find out that one.
this is the starting point.
We asked teachers the same thing. If you had, if we could not return as normal, what would be your first choice?
Obviously not on.
Online, I feel like no, alternate schedule was the first choice, and it's pretty clear what our teachers say that, or do a hybrid, online was the third.
They just haven't the kids.
They do, oh, they do. I was a teacher. They do it for the kids. That's why they do it. Parent comments. So, there were a lot, but this is really high level, okay? So, we asked them what their concerns about returning were. This is none. This was like, 34%, none. They don't have any concerns. 21%, they're concerned about getting sick. 4% was personal protective equipment. A lot of comments, well, it was varied, because it was anything from, what if the other kids aren't wearing it, to, I don't like it. You know, so it varied, it went back and forth. A strict environment, 11%, just stating that, you know, they didn't want it to be so regimented. Oh, no, they were concerned about that strict environment of returning to school. Academic, and that was just a category, there were a lot, that was a great question. And then social distancing was about 10%. So there was, those were where parents' brains were when they were asked that question. Any questions?
Sounds like they're tired of homeschooling and would like the kids to come back to school.
Yep. My daughter.
Thanks, Debbie.
You're welcome. Yesterday, we met with our task force. Aaron and I, with the support of Dr. Ernestini, and the direction Dr. Carlson put us on, we met with our task force, and we're gonna just run through, this is some of the slides that we did with them yesterday, but we're just gonna take it at a higher level. So we haven't gathered information. You saw the parent survey results, you just saw that, the student survey results. We had a district leader retreat last week, We brought all of our district and school administrators here, and, we had a conversation and ran through all of the reopening big 4 categories, which I'll show you, and got a lot of feedback from our, district and schools now. Not only that, you know, of course, the community is, any ear they can, tug on, they're asking questions, giving their feedback, and we really appreciate that because it really helps us know what the pulse of our community is. And then also, we reached out to our surrounding districts. I reached out to our, feeder districts. They haven't shared any plans yet, but I know that they are, everybody's working on it. And so we reached out and share, knowledge, information. Okay, keep going. This is a decision tree. The CDC provided a decision tree, so we went through this with our task force step by step. And the decision tree just helps us to understand, are we ready to reopen and what considerations we need to take? So are we going to follow state orders, local orders? Are we ready to protect our school, our children, and school employees who are at higher risk, health risk? And are we able to screen our students and employees for any kind of exposure, COVID-19, before they come into the school? And then, of course, there's promoting healthy hygiene and teaching students your protocols and training staff, disinfecting, cleaning, all of that is step 2, and we can ensure that we can follow certain procedures and implement certain things, make a decision if we can open or close. And then finally, do we have a plan if somebody gets sick? Do we have a plan to communicate to families, to communities, advocate, or are we getting information as far as what our local cases are? So this is our decision tree, and we went through that with that. And are we ready to open? We do believe we will have plans in place, absolutely. And the task force is working right now, and they're setting up certain protocols and certain basically ways we're going to run. We are going to run at a high level, and then the principal in the school will work at a more detailed level on how we can
Just on this subject here, question for you, Howard, with the state task force for education, with the increase that they're having in the positives on the virus, is there any chatter, maybe have them go back to, looking back at not opening again, or anywhere we need to be? Because I know right now, they're saying, we're looking like we're open schools, but who expected this? Well, a lot of people did expect it, but saw the increase that the state is getting in number of cases.
Yeah, and there's nothing yet. So I think there's a tug of war going on to an extent where you have the governor talking about, if you are under 6 feet, you should have a mask on, that type of thing. You have some health professionals that are saying you should wear a mask everywhere. And to an extent, it falls by party line, which is interesting. And so, no, at this stage, there isn't anything. Not sure what will happen with that. I think that there will be some additional guidelines that will come from the health department, but I think that in the end, everything I hear legislatively, so on and so forth, would be that they're going to try to keep it at the local level. And the reason is that Phoenix is going to look at the whole issue differently than Wickenburg or Chandler or whatever it might be. So I think that you're kind of in that scenario where in the end, they're going to look at the local level or leave it to the local level to figure it out.
I know that some of the national news, Arizona's heading right to the top.
Oh, that's all I've heard from everybody I've talked to back east.
Wow.
Everybody in Texas thought Arizona, we were dying.
Yeah.
I've been working with
You have no hospital beds.
and they said that, and I was like, well, I did kind of listen to the governor today, and that's not what he said, so I'm guessing the news got it wrong in Texas.
call it belief in government.
There you go.
So with the task force, we are going through a process where we're gathering feedback from them. So we assigned the subgroups yesterday, which we'll show you in a moment. They're working not only amongst the groups to gather the information, but they're also completing a survey, and we encourage them to reach out to family, neighbors, friends, so on and so forth, to help them complete that survey to give it back to us, so that we have an understanding of, a broad picture of what the concerns are within the community. So we're also making sure that we're following all the guidelines that are out there from, the local health authorities, CDC, the Arizona Interscholastic Association, Governor's Office, ADE. So we're looking at all of those and taking all of that into consideration too as we're making our plans. And then our final goal is to come back to you guys on July 1st with a plan, which you'll see a little bit later in our timeline as well, and present our findings and how we feel we should open school. So here's the categories I was alluding to. So we have logistics, healthy environments, activities, and student learning. And you guys all have this on your computers too. You can't see this up here, but they're all going to overlap and touch each other, in some way, shape, or form. For example, logistics as food service. That's gonna impact healthy environments with how you're cleaning the cafeteria, as well as student learning because it's with communal spaces. So they're all gonna touch each other in some way, somehow. But this list does not cover everything, but we feel it's a good start for our groups to get them thinking. Great conversations were being had yesterday amongst these groups to be sure that we're covering all of these items that are listed here in front of you.
Might just be got water systems on there.
Yeah, and we've already at Hacienda, for example, in the classrooms, all of the little drinking fountains that were in the classroom, the back of the classroom, have been tapped, and then they just have the spigot that comes out, so the kids can refill their waters. It's the same water they were drinking from the drinking fountain, but now they can fill their cups versus putting in their mouths,
Oh my God. So it's a vacant building sitting there for months and months and months without a water system being run.
Oh, I hear that. Yes. I think that, well, our maintenance department has been, flushing those systems and making sure that.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern is,
Okay,
is the water,
No, we are doing that.
getting fresh water in the pipes.
Yes, no, they are, about that. They have a rotation where they're going through and they're flushing toilets and they're running.
I was gonna say, maybe Randy, you could get a part-time job
There
flushing
you go.
toilet.
And so, they are.
I don't need to go back there.
Because of water and all of that. But, too, part of that is deciding where are we putting, some of these new refillable water, stations and things as well. So that is where part of that comes from. But yeah, their water systems, their maintenance has been going around since this whole thing happened and making sure that they're all that way. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So here's some of we have on our committees, we not only have, our district leaders, we also have teachers, we have some classified staff, we have parents, and we have community members. So we have various individuals in these groups. Valerie Shumway is leading logistics, Julie Case is leading healthy environment, Mark Gorman activities, and Chris Everswood student learning. So they're the facilitators of each of these groups. They're scheduling the meetings, they're keeping everyone on task and focused and kind of the liaison with Debbie and myself. And then we do have a few people that are listed down here that couldn't attend our meeting that we had yesterday. So they have been given the opportunity to complete a survey and give that back to us, letting us know which group they would like to be a part of if they want to. They did get a recorded version of our meeting yesterday along with our presentation so that they can review that. Some of them may not have time to be committed to being on a task force, but that way they could see it, they could give some input to us, help available if they were able, and then everybody will be included on a meeting that we'll have, I think it was next week, actually, to come back to the table with all of the plans. So we feel like we had a really good group and a wide variety of people, individuals from Festival Foothills, each school, as well as various entities within both communities.
have on our, committee, Karen Smith. She is, I don't know her official title off the top of my head, but she is the point person at the hospital, for COVID-19. She's the infectious disease something.
Oh, I know her.
Yeah, so, and she was a great resource yesterday. We had some questions come up that she just popped right in, and she was able to answer the questions. And she was also going to send some, information to the Maintaining Healthy Environment Committee, and she is part of that committee. So, that was wonderful that she was willing to be part of that. Of course, Natalie Bolton, she represents Desert Public Arts Museum. Stephanie Fornoff is representing the Chamber of Commerce as well as the Valley Web, Center, and Pam Norman, she is part of the Caring Neighbors at a Festival. Is it Sun City Festival? Thank you. So, we're trying to pull in, folks in the community, that represent some of.
And then Tara's from the town.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think there's one more.
And Pam's also retired school.
Principal, yeah,
Principal,
yeah.
Who is Carol working for?
The town.
She's the HR director for the town.
Okay.
So our timeline, June 9th was when we had our admin retreat, and that's when we brought all of our district and school administration together, in order to really start looking at the list and come up with considerations and questions and concerns and some of the items that we wanted the task force to look at. Then yesterday was our whole group virtual meeting where we went through the process of finding, goals, and then we assigned our staff to working groups, and then our community of parents could choose which, working group they wanted to be on, that they felt they could be the best contributor to. The working groups are working, we had several of them have more meetings today, and they will work, through the rest of this week, probably into next week, on their tasks. And then we will reconvene on June 24th. We'll have an afternoon meeting where we bring all the all the working groups will bring their draft documents in and present, and then get feedback from the rest of the task force. And then we will present that to the board in July 1. But our work will not be done because, again, they're giving us, some of it will be high level, some of it they will come back probably if it fits. They'll have more protocols in place. But we, as the district administration, with the school administrators, we will have to get down to the tiny details and making sure we know exactly what the protocols and processes are for every aspect of our district. Any questions?
So coming out of all of this, you'll also have like an emergency action,
Emergency what?
action plan.
Action plan, but that's yeah. And we expect, our plan is to open.
Right.
Based on what's happening at that time. But we have to be prepared for a case or several cases or another outbreak, second wave, if this wave ever goes down, to have school closure again. And this time to be prepared for, and we'll have, try to have everything prepared.
Do we know, basically, COVID has not really affected young people for the most part. So if there were going to be students impacted, they would most likely be students that have underlying health conditions. And that would be the biggest problem, I think, as far as I'm concerned, with them coming back.
We do offer, and we are expanding Wickenburg Virtual Academy K-12. So an online option will be available if we have students with underlying health conditions and the parents feel that they need to access the brick and mortar.
Okay.
We will have K-12 options through Wickenburg Virtual Academy.
Okay. And then, I know you have some teachers that aren't in the best of health.
And those who are.
What are you going to do with them?
And that is exactly the details I'm talking about, Sandy, and that we are looking into that.
Yeah. But those are the things that kind of
We are
go
sending
through my
out
mind.
a survey.
Because I really don't think the kids
Yeah.
I mean, as of right now, the kids are not the ones that are being affected by this, or anybody who's in good health, basically.
And we are working to compile a survey. In fact, I think we'll be finalizing it tomorrow, to go out to our staff members, just with some of those questions, see if they're comfortable and willing to come back. And then we'll have to see where we land with that kind of numbers. So thankfully, we do have an online platform, so we may have to shift, some teachers to be an online teacher. So I'm thankful that we have that option.
How many open recs do we have right now? Sarah?
She's not on the line.
Oh.
I think she left.
How many open positions?
Yeah, unfilled teacher position.
I'm trying to remember, is there,
Science at Festival and at ELA, I believe.
that might
And
be,
then, potentially over here at Hacienda, we're watching the kindergarten numbers closely to know if we're gonna need to hire another kindergarten teacher or not. We've got the posting there,
Okay.
but we're keeping an eye on that. And then,
So we might have more kindergarten? We might have a big class?
well, right now we have one kindergarten teacher
Oh.
because we had one resign. And so,
Oh, I thought we moved someone else to kindergarten.
so potentially one there, one at BC, one at Festival.
Okay.
So I know some interviews are happening still this week, though, so hopefully they're great candidates. So that's many.
Great.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's what I had.
No, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, lady.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We put Debbie to work tonight. She earned that paycheck.
Yeah.
Turn that big.
good job.
Yeah.
Whoa, hello.
See you again.
How
All
are you?
right, so we are at the wake up portion. Everybody waking up.
No, because mine are all hot, mine are dark, I love it. Mine are perfect.
Okay, so who's got any recognitions or proclamations this evening?
Well, what do I have written down? I was just going to, recognize all the teachers, administrators, IT, everybody who just worked so hard with short notice to accomplish what they did. And, like you said, there were a lot of bumps along the road and everything, but I think everybody pitched in and did everything that they could, and thank you.
Definitely.
Me? Yes, I want to recognize IT because that's what I like to do. Because I know how hard it is to try to get everybody on the internet, and working at home. I do that too. And I wanted to recognize everybody involved in getting graduation going for this Friday night because that is awesome. And I know that the parents and the kids are just going to be happy to be able to participate. So that's me.
Can I ask a question?
During recognitions?
Yeah, can I just ask a question that has, you get talking about graduation and everything? How did the, senior party go? Everything went all right with the party?
Oh,
Not sure, because we're not involved in it, so
Oh,
not sure.
yes, I heard it went really well.
Parents,
They had a lot of participation, I think.
okay.
The Fly Me, is it what the Fly Me one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And I would like to take this opportunity to recognize and thank from the bottom of my heart,
Don't
Dr.
do it,
Carlson.
don't cry, don't do it.
Dr. Carlson, 11 years. I was here from day one with him, and he gets to leave before me. That's not fair. But anyway, sincerely, Howard, everything you've done for this district is just very much appreciated.
Yeah.
You moved it so far up the bar, and now we've got somebody that can take that bar and just keep right on going.
keep moving.
Really appreciate it. Howard. Thank you.
Yeah, miss you like crazy.
Yes.
Yep.
I think we
No,
should have had the party.
Right.
What's that?
I think we should have just had the.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. No, I appreciate that, and I thank you for allowing me to serve, and for 11 years. It's, it's a tough situation when you get to this stage in your career, and especially having been here and worked with, great board, staff, administration, and I feel like because we've had a team, and I really mean that, a team, in the end, we were able to do a number of things. And, it kind of hits me here, but the bottom line is that, again, I really appreciate it, and I thank you for the opportunity. I really do. The other thing that I want to say is that we are working on kind of a history project. One of the pieces, you see all the pictures up there of the board. Over here, we are going to have the board, even Sandy. So that's good. And we're going to have pictures of, the board up there. And then we're going to have a plaque that shows the presidents over the years, that type of thing as well. And then over here, the superintendents, we have pictures going back to the very first superintendent in the school district, 1928. And so, we've got all that. And the other thing that both Lynn and Valerie helped me with, and I just wanted to give you kind of a rough draft of this, but over the past X number of months, we've been putting together a history of the district, going back to the beginning of when the district started.
Wow.
And so we're making it into a book that you will be able to have. And again, this is just kind of a manuscript or a draft of what that's going to look like. But it'll have pictures and those types of things with it as well. But again, the idea was to be able to document the history of the district going back to the beginning of when it started to now. And again, leave that as a document that you will have, and hopefully you can add to over time, because Wickenburg does have a rich history. And I think that's something that we can be proud of. And
I think that's
so,
really
anyway, I thank
awesome.
Valerie and Lynn for all their work and helping to get that put together. But anyway.
And we should thank the little artist for
Absolutely.
Oh, thanks for taking mine away.
Oh.
You already had it. I want to recognize, the district office staff team that put that together.
Is that nice?
Yeah, they did.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, they did.
So anyway.
I was
No, I saw.
I was here watching
It
them.
just seemed so natural, I didn't even notice that it was new. I mean, really, I saw it, I'm like.
And,
It should be there.
you'll read about it in here. That came about in 1940, about 1940, okay? Valerie has found some drawings going back to 1931, which will probably be on the cover of this, which show basically the Wrangler on the horse. And they were student drawings from 1931.
Wow.
And ultimately, we believe it evolved into this.
Huh.
And there was a short period in the mid-2000s where the district went with an apple, which represents education.
Okay.
But we brought this back as a historic piece, I think in 2015. And we've used it ever since, because it is a part of who we are, and it really goes back to the early times in the district. So anyway,
Well, yeah.
yep.
Very good.
Very nice.
Did you have something to say, Ron?
Whoa. Lynn, we need 2 tables between them two.
We can represent each other.
All right, thank you for that. Howard, thanks for this. Lynn, Valerie, great work. I mean, I didn't read it all. I read only half of it so far, but,
It is a lot of power.
A lot of stuff.
Well, thanks, everybody.
He is the published author.
Mhm.
All right, so at this point in time, we have call to the public, and we officially have a public, but I don't know if the public wants to speak.
Anyone? Anyone?
All right, so hearing none, we will move into the consent agenda, and I need to ask if any board members need anything pulled from the consent agenda before we take action.
Yes, item O, I think that's full, on the elder board list, so.
Okay, so we'll take that off. And you're good with the rest of it for now then? Okay. Anybody else? Oh, then we can get a motion minus O.
Okay, I move to approve the consent agenda minus item O.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And so we will go back to O, and Ron already disclosed why he needed to pull that. He's involved with the church at Sun Valley, and so he will not be voting this part. So can we get a motion to approve the IGA?
Motion to approve and authorize the administration to sign the revised lease agreement with the church at Sun Valley as submitted.
All right, I'll make a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And so now we are on action item 5A. Request for approval of the fiscal year 2020 final budget revision.
So normally I would have done this by May 15th, but, it was extended due to COVID. Been back to that, but anyway, I'm pleased to say that, in both, maintenance and operations as well as capital budget, we did have an increase in capacity. And N&L, adjustments were not only for our carry forward from previous years, but also, had more ADM than what I projected, and then our tuition revenue was up. And part of that tuition change is because on our initial budget, I didn't account for Yarnell. I wasn't sure how that was all going to pan out. And then also, we always gain some funds with our SPED, costs that we pass along to them. So when we have any psychological evaluation, speech, if we send any children to private placement from one of those feeder districts, then we can recoup that money back at this time. So that's where you're seeing those things. I did anticipate our ADM to go up a little, and I anticipated our carry forward to go up a little bit, but I'm always very conservative on the initial budget, so that I can say this to you in the end. And also trying to plan on a conservative budget, and, you know.
Do we have any idea looking forward, is Natterburg having a freshman class this year?
Yes.
So we will be losing all the freshmen from Natterburg?
Yes, and I can talk about that in our 21, budget
Okay.
proposal a little bit further.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd say it that way.
But yeah, I guess.
And all
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know that they'll all go there. So,
Right.
anyway.
And then capital, same thing, same here, reasons carry forward, from prior year, as well as, a little bit of the tuition increase, on the revenue side, thank you, Yarnell. So just, and some of the numbers kind of tweak over time, because, tuition is based on prior year students. So it's a lot of times those final budget numbers, or those final ADM numbers don't come out until like July for the prior year. So there's always a little tweaking there. But other than that, no other major changes. Those are the big ones, on the final budget for FY20.
Okay.
So we came out ahead.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
We're on a roll.
That's
Like this, we're good.
We get a motion to,
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2020 final budget revision as submitted.
Second.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item B is fiscal year 2021 expenditure budget.
Okay, so this is our proposed budget going into, next school year. It's always estimated, obviously, at this time. I tried to be, very conservative, as I was alluding to with the FY twenty budget. I have all of our anticipated expenditures in there. Nothing of substance needed to be cut or reduced at this point in time. A lot of it's going to be, a result of our enrollment, and I tried to be very conservative in predicting that. The wild card, the toss of the dice. But based upon some of the information we saw in the survey today, I do believe that majority of our kids will come back. I kept our high school enrollment fairly level. I did take some out and put more in an AOI program, an online program. But I feel I feel like our high school kids are gonna come back in one way or another. Where I really shaved it down quite a bit was at our K-8 level. I feel like that's a little bit more iffy. Are we gonna have more parents keeping their kids home at kindergarten? You know, those are littles, and it's already frightening to send your child off to kindergarten in a normal world, let alone during a pandemic. So I based that number, that reduction off not only a simple cohort model and just looking at our trends, but also trying to take into account what's happening. And I also placed, a significant mark into the AOI or the online platform there too. So, I feel like even with that, we do have room. I think, we've got plenty of wiggle room there, even if I'm off, but I don't think I'm gonna be terribly off, just based upon what we're hearing in our community and what we've seen in the surveys to this point. As far as, our tuition, our feeder districts that come in, again, that's based on prior year. So this year, I will still be able to collect the full, in FY twenty-one, I will be able to collect from all the students that attended in FY twenty. So I will be able to capture the Natterburg ninth grade students. So really, in FY twenty-two, where we're gonna start to see the hit from Natterburg. But I don't know how much of a hit we're really gonna see, as Dr. Carlson was alluding to. I think, you know, they're starting out small. They're gonna retain some, but they're not gonna have all of the programs and things. You know, they're not gonna have all the clubs and the athletics because they won't have the numbers yet.
Right.
And if those kids do choose to come here as a ninth grader, we will gain, their ADM through open enrollment. So we will be able to gain it that way.
Are they going to, add a grade each year in Edinburgh?
That's the plan, yeah.
Yeah.
We're starting with the
That's what they're-
freshmen and then next year.
That's what they're hoping to do, yes.
Does that go by the 100th day? Like if they come here by the 100th day?
It's an average
Oh,
of the first 100 days of school.
okay. So if they don't come day one, but they come later?
Yeah, we'll get a percentage of that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I saw somewhere where they were sending letters out to the Desert Vista or whatever that school's called down there.
Those are the Oasis.
What's it called?
Those are the Oasis,
About bringing those kids to Natterburg for ninth
And
grade.
they made a coalition with Morristown, I read that too.
Yeah.
Aaron, I do have a question, that you alluded to earlier for the Yarnell. So we collected from them, we had some
We
Yarnell,
did have kids come. And
so was that open enrollment?
that would be tuition. No,
Okay,
no,
all right,
it was not. But we are not sending a bus up there any longer.
right,
So those kids that are coming, you know, have to get to one of our bus stops to
right.
get on the bus. But then I did charge them tuition for that. And Dr. Carlson and I had some conversations with Yarnell regarding that, and they agreed, if we have kids coming, then yeah, we do need to pay you right now for the law. But I think they're gonna try to work to get that changed a little bit, because they are trying to encourage the kids to go to Prescott, because it is a little bit less expensive than what we are.
Okay.
So,
Do for the virtual academy, do we get the same amount of money from them?
we get 95%, so pretty darn close. Thanks. So we are gonna see a decrease in our budget capacity next year, based upon what I'm predicting for ADM. I'm hoping that I'm wrong, like I was last year, and we are higher than what I'm anticipating, because I'm, you know, predicting a pretty big decrease. And then the tuition, we will see a decrease in the tuition just based upon the school's numbers. You know, that has nothing to do with Natterburg freshmen going into 21. It just, you know, all of our schools are experiencing a decrease in ADM. And so that funnels to us as well. The one positive is our Prop 123, that has increased significantly. That's across the board for all districts, so that's great. So that does help us a little bit, and that just goes right into our M&O budget. Capital, I do see an increase there as well, not only due to some carry forward, but also we didn't spend all the money on our projects this year. You know, it kind of came to a halt with COVID, so a lot of that stuff's getting moved to next year. So you will see more expenditures moving forward. And then we just have that full allocation, thankfully, where a lot of schools didn't. And it's kind of a blessing and a curse to lose your ADM. So if you're losing some ADM, you get your full funding sooner, which we did this year. So that will continue through that.
Plus, you know, the sanitizing, there's gonna be a lot of expenses,
Correct.
extra expenses that we wouldn't have had to deal with before
Yep.
COVID.
Yes, I do anticipate having some of our expenditures go to that, but we also, have received some grant funding, and we're gonna apply for more to assist through the CARES Act, to assist with those things. So, Debbie and I are working on a budget for that, and we feel that will really support us quite a bit. We're getting about $250,000 from that fund. And then we're actually taking part in a webinar tomorrow to see if we can get some FEMA money through the governor, through the state, rather than federal, to see if we can gain some more money that way. So, we'll find out tomorrow if we're eligible. So there's some requirements that you have to meet in order to qualify. So, fingers crossed.
Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Your, solar project on the high school, so probably got some effect. Just utilities, and that, be the first for you.
Yeah, and I didn't look at that specifically yet, so, and that actually started quite late.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, so.
Barely had time.
Yeah, in 21, I think that's when we'll really see where that savings might be coming in for us there, because this year, my goodness, Ellie, do you remember when they even started giving us the credit? It was.
I think it's like March.
Yeah, I think it.
Wow.
Yeah, it really just started.
Our electricity,
Credit.
without having things going on at the high school, we got money back.
Because regardless of how much the solar actually saves, we're getting a set amount each month, regardless of what.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 18. Yep.
I think, yeah.
Okay. How about a motion for that one?
I make a motion to approve the proposed annual expenditure budget for FY 2021 as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item C, action item C is request for approval of financial reports presented by none other than Mrs. Johnson.
Debbie's turn earlier.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
First, I'll start by saying that, our budget balances are positive. We are in compliance, and there are no surprises to my knowledge. And if you look at our reports, we're still trending very well. We're actually, quite a bit over or under overall, and up in our areas here. So we're doing great. We're just a couple percent below where we would have been in M&O at the time last year as compared to this year, and then we're quite a bit below on our capital side, not only because we have significant more money this year, but also because we didn't get through everything that we had planned to get through this year. So we're doing very well, ending the year well.
Good.
Can I ask a weird question? So with food service, with us not, I guess technically we're still doing food, right? We're still doing somewhat. But did that affect?
Yeah, so what I showed you was only until February.
Yeah.
So, these last couple of months, we have lost some money due to that. Because yes, we do get reimbursement, through the National School Lunch Program for those meals, but we don't have any revenue coming in. So no children are buying lunch.
Yeah.
Right.
But that we're still having to pay some staff. Some staff was laid off because we didn't.
Yeah, that.
Need all of them. but I don't have those final numbers in to see where we lost. So we probably won't end up quite as far ahead as what that slide showed, but it showed we were doing really well, you know, up until this point. Fantastic. So, but hopefully next year will be better. I'm sure the service will look a little bit different next year, but hoping not too much of a change there.
Cool. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the financial reports as submitted.
One second.
All in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Our last action item is action item D, which is request for approval of changing the board meeting times from 6:30 to 5:30. And this would, if it's approved, it'll take effect in August.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
As for the study sessions, we've come in an hour to some number ahead of the board meeting time.
Right.
So would this mean that we would come at 4:30 for the study session?
No, this would mean that if we have a normal study session, we'd come at 5. But if we have something that's going to be a longer study session, if we can plan ahead that way, the study session would start at the 5:30 time, and we'd have the board meeting following that.
Okay, so regardless of what happens, yeah, we'll start at 5:30.
5:30,
Okay,
correct.
so let's see, according to the schedule that she put out, all 4 schools are going to do their SIPs at one time, so
Right.
we would be.
Pack a lunch. Pack a lunch.
Yeah.
You're real early in the afternoon.
I thought we had that split up.
The what, the SIPs? We did. Let's read that.
Right.
I saw that someplace, but I don't have it.
In there somewhere.
I don't know, 'cause I saw that when I was going through.
I got it on this stick here where I was all over.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, I don't have that.
We didn't get that today. We had it
I
the
brought it with me.
Oh,
I
it's
I printed it out on something from somewhere.
In my email.
I couldn't get mine to print. For some reason, my phone's not printing.
Sandy?
I'm sorry,
We
dear.
were going to do them all at once. You're having, thought you have to do theirs in December when they'd already been doing it for months.
Yeah, half a year's over.
So they thought, just get them done. So
Okay. I don't like them all at one, I don't want them all at one time. I think it's overwhelming to listen to all of them in one night. But whatever. I'm adaptable.
Thank you.
I mean, I am gonna have to be here at 5:30 now.
We'll get you a dark chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Lynn, help me remember that. All right, good.
I just drove in from Flagstaff. I had you know that.
Okay, so do we have a motion to accept that?
Motion to approve the changing board meeting times from 6:30 to 5:30 p.m. beginning August of 2020 as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, happily. Oh, you're still smiling. All right. Item 6 is informational items for future agendas. We don't have anything to throw there yet.
Well,
Got anything about having all those slips on one night then?
I already stated my opinion. I think it's too much.
What's on the agenda?
Now, I have a question for you here, Randy. Announcements, calendar, ASBA workshop. We have our 3 hours of training coming from the superintendent search.
Oh,
And so we're trying to get that lined up, and we may have already missed the July 11th. I got to call Julie. She's been waiting to hear. But some people haven't responded to Lynn's polling yet. So does July 11th work for everybody that's in this room? It's a Saturday. There's Saturday.
Oh,
And it'll be a morning, it's a 3-hour morning session.
Yeah, I'll put it on my agenda.
You can make that one?
Yeah.
Sandy, were you a yes or you checked?
I think, yeah, I already said yes.
Did we have a yes for everybody except,
I think I did it from Susan.
was that what,
I said yes.
you said yes?
I said yes, and then we were gonna plan a trip to Montana, but I can work around that.
We'll work around that, okay.
I'll be there.
so let's go for the 11th. I will call Julie in the morning, and, well, actually, I'll email her tonight. And, we can talk tomorrow and see if we can still get that day. Is July 18th, just in
July
case?
11th?
Correct.
Oh, I'm looking at you.
And these are all Saturdays, by the way.
Okay.
I can, the 18th.
You can't do the 18th? Okay. Well, I'll sweet talk her then, or something. I'll get her chocolate.
Introduction.
Yeah, that's right, see? My,
Okay,
I feel safe.
so July 11th.
But, yeah, I mean, that's what we're gonna say today. I'm hoping
Okay.
we'll get that day from her.
Okay.
And it'll be in the morning, like, 9 o'clock. It's a 3-hour session,
Okay.
okay? And this will be in the Wellick room.
Okay. Is our meeting on the 1st in the Wellick?
It is in a Wellick,
Well,
yes.
I like it. 30.
What time was that one? The July 1st?
What was that?
Yeah, that's a 5:30. That's a,
yeah, but they just changed it.
oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about July 11th, 9 o'clock. I'm sorry.
And the first is 5:30?
6:30.
6:30. Okay.
Who's on first?
I know you sent out an email, I just didn't change my calendar.
Okay.
Okay, so next meeting that we have is July 1st in the Wellick room at 5:30 PM.
6:30.
6:30. Oh, that's right, we can't do that yet. We gotta wait till August.
Okay, this is what I said. I'm good with July 1st at 5:30. I don't care what time it is on the 1st. I couldn't do it on the 14th.
Yeah, but we're trying not to bounce some things. That's why we're keeping it at 6:30 for that.
I can.
So that's at 6:30.
I'm sorry.
I can't.
Okay. Well, then whatever is it.
I got here at 4 today because I didn't want to be late.
This is why
So it's July 1st,
I write it down.
6:30. July 11th, 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay?
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. You got all that?
I don't. Lynn does. I know I gotta get dark chocolate. That's all I gotta do. So, all right. So that's all I have for announcements. We do have our, calendar for July here, so you can fill in your stuff. You see that we have the staff breakfast on July 27th. Yay.
Don't forget my birthday cake.
Ooh, I can work that into my skit. Okay.
Yeah, that's my birthday.
The teachers, are we having, NTI? As of now. Okay. We have to get our NTI board lunch scheduled on there somehow, sometime. So,
Okay.
all right,
What?
NTI,
New teacher.
teacher induction.
Oh, it is teacher.
All right, so we are coming to the, close of this session. If somebody will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
For pity's sake.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Howard? Your last adjournment.
We got
We got it.
a couple things. I have some things to sign. What do you got?
I got a folder of stuff.
Just on